Hello, welcome along to live match reaction here on the Rangers Rabble. Dundee 0, Rangers 1. Oh, it's going to be a pretty depressing chat today, gentlemen. Hi, I'm Martin. I'm joined by the beautiful John Walker. John, how are you?
I am better looking than that Rangers performance. I can say that safely. You could put a scar across my face, and I'm still prettier than what I just watched for the last 2 hours. It was absolutely brutal. I feel flat. I feel depressed. I'm just waiting to come on here and do a Rangers reaction to a 4-0 victory. I just hope that comes soon.
Actually, that's a very good point.
I've not introduced you yet, Scotty. Come on, I've not said hello, Scotty. How are you? Hello, Scotty, mate. How are you?
I thought you were leading into my introduction when you started with handsome, and I was like, it's putting me first, but obviously not.
How are you, Scotty?
I'm all right. I'm drinking beer. It's non-alcoholic, and I wish it was alcoholic.
Very true. If we're doing the drinks thing, I've got a glass bottle of Iron Brew Extra. There we go. That's what Rangers have sunk me to. Scotty, can we just have a quick discussion? What colour is John's top?
Pink.
Yeah, this is pink.
It's pink.
Yeah, this is 100% just a pink top.
I don't know. It looks more salmony.
No. Just no, Martin. It's pink. Just pink. Do you know what? I reckon if he improves the lighting in his little studio there, it would be very obviously pink.
Right, listen.
You cannot criticise the lighting when I am the only one with perfect sound on this. My equipment is tip top. That lighting is helping me right now.
Yeah, I've got tip top. My microphone was about £15. You know what I mean? I don't mess about.
I'm still waiting for my payment to do these pods, and then I'll start investing in the infrastructure.
Which seems like a perfect time for Martin to remind people about subscribing, right?
Oh well, yes. Actually, that's a very good point. Yes, we are live on YouTube and Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, please do retweet, like, and all that, and comment as well. Comment on Twitter because we do get it through the screen. And of course, we are live on YouTube. John's just put me on the spot here. Normally, I've got all this ready to roll. We are live on YouTube.
We've seen how far we can get into the pod without mentioning the game.
I think that seems to be the consensus. We are live on YouTube. Please do subscribe. We are about 3 or 4 away from 2.9, so that's about my maths is right. That's about 103 from 3K. So please do subscribe. And if you want some extra content and you want to help support and get Scotty that new mic, then sign up to us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rangers Rabble. The link is in the description. Now, a wee bit of positivity, Scotty, before we start. It was Captain Tav's 300th appearance for Rangers today. Where does he rank for you in Rangers captains and overall player?
I thought you were going to ask, where does today's performance rank?
Nope.
It is 300. I have to say it's probably one of the worst. No. In all seriousness, I absolutely love Tav. Everyone's entitled to an off day. That's coming later in the pod. I think he's a tremendous captain, and he's grown into the role. I think he was thrust into the role to begin with, but when you're offered the Rangers captaincy, you just don't turn it down. And obviously, Gerrard sees a lot of leadership qualities in him that we particularly didn't see at the start. But he's grown into the role. And when he lifted 55, I was absolutely delighted for him. And I don't think you'll find a single Rangers fan that would begrudge him of that title, that medal. And I hope he wins many, many more.
John, in terms of Rangers right-backs, we've done a few greatest 11s over on Patreon. And I think right-back's always the position that we've struggled to kind of nail down one specific player, for your left back. I mean, the greatest left back of all time, obviously, David Robertson, stuff like that. You've got the goalkeeper. Where does Tav rank in Rangers right back history?
He's my best because in my lifetime, he's 100% the best that I've seen consistently. Because, like you said, it seemed to be the one that always moved. Fucking Rickson, Muscat, Morris Ross. Like I've went through that kind of lineage. Rickson best years were as a centre mid, so he's already almost out the right back argument. If Stephen Wright been injured, Alec Cleland was really good in 9 in a row, but he always seemed like just an average player that was just there. But Tavernier's the one. Tavernier's the best one I've seen. He's improved, but today had elements of Tavernier first SPL season under Warburton. It felt like a little bit like they'd maybe forgotten how to defend in that game. But that being said, I would have said he was in a competition with 10 other players for worst player in the park there.
Right, okay. Well, shall we talk about the game? Shall we do it? I tell you what, I was going to, and I normally do, I like to start with starting lineups and should they have played him? What about this? What about that? The only thing I'm going to pick out of the starting lineup, and it's not going to be left backs or centre mids, Scotty, it's going to be the goalkeeping position. And that's got nothing to do with either giving away a penalty or saving a penalty. But were you surprised that it was McLaughlin instead of McGregor?
Not really.
No?
No, I think McGregor, I don't know, he just seems a bit frantic at the moment. And I think that's breeding into the back line. That said, having watched that, it had no bearing on the back line whatsoever. But I think there's longevity in McLaughlin as well. I think it's a really difficult one, and it's at the moment my head's quite foggy, and it's really hard to pick the bones out of that one. It's a really good point you made, because instantly I didn't even pick up on it when the teams were announced. I just said, "Oh, McLaughlin, right." Didn't even tweet that McGregor was on the bench. Just I was a little bit annoyed by his performance against Motherwell, and obviously naturally changed for the cup. I think McLaughlin actually every time McLaughlin plays, he's been solid. I don't think he's as good as McGregor potentially last season, but I don't think McGregor's as good as McGregor last season. So if we can't really start comparing goalkeepers because none of them have actually turned up, or potentially McLaughlin has. So yeah, it's a difficult one. What do we do?
Do you know what I think as well? I watched the Motherwell game back during the week. Obviously, I wasn't on the match reaction because I literally texted you, Martin, saying I can't go on and do this reaction after how I feel in this game. I was too hungover going to the game. I was too livid with the performance. If I came on here, I'd have probably get the podcast shut down with some of my opinions. Do you know who got off scot-free in that Motherwell equaliser? The person who's not been in goal since. A ball gets played back to him, and it's a simple clearance up the park. He takes a shitty touch out wide, and then plays the ball out for a throw-in that Mother will take quick. That goal came directly from a McGregor mistake, and he got away with it because Simpson and Barisic after that were an absolute riot. But it starts from McGregor not just launching that up the park first time. None of that happens after that. And I think he's looked at McLaughlin and went, okay, he's nowhere near McGregor shot stopping, but guess what? Nobody is. He's been the best keeper we've had for 2 decades, been the best keeper in Scotland for 2 decades. He is just the best goalie of that generation that came through. So nobody's going to be as good as McGregor at shot stopping. But McGregor's weakness is with the ball quick at his feet. Goal kicks and punts are fine. But the ball quick at his feet, taking a quick touch and clearing, he does have a problem that McLaughlin doesn't. And I think that's all he's looked at and went, why not give him a run? That was McLaughlin's 16th clean sheet in 20 starts for Rangers. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's mental. I know he's came in and played lesser, in quotes, games. 16 clean sheets in 20 is ridiculous.
And he very, very close to not having a clean sheet again today.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
In trouble.
Scotty, I need you to take it for 2 seconds. Something's just happened. On you go, Scotty.
I wasn't expecting that. What do you want to talk about? Can we not?
No, well, what I was noticing, I just seen somebody call it out as well. So that was his 16th clean sheet for Rangers. In 430 games, that was John McLaughlin's 150th club clean sheet today.
Really?
I know he's played in the lower leagues in England and he's played for Hearts in Scotland, but that is an incredible record for the type of leagues that he's played in. That's better than 1 in 3 clean sheets. That's remarkable. The penalty save's not amazing, but he saves a penalty. If a keeper ever saves a penalty, it really doesn't matter how good it is. His save from Griffiths is really underrated in the first half, the right foot volley in the bottom corner. I thought that was he done really well to hold that as well, because McMullen was following that in. I thought McLaughlin and Lundstrom. I don't think Lundstrom is amazing as Twitter would make you believe, but I think McLaughlin and Lundstrom were the two that I would give big pass marks to in that game, more for their out of possession work rather than anything else. I thought McLaughlin was man of the match for me. I wouldn't have given it to Lundstrom. We win a game by a single goal and there's a penalty saved. Goalie's man of the match for me.
Even if that goalie gives away the penalty.
Oh, he didn't give away the penalty.
Come on,
come on.
I'm only joking. No, listen, kids
I
will be
hope
kids.
so. I'm about to launch this ball through the screen.
Right, so I'll bring up a wee comment for Chris Smith, Scotty. A great 3 points, but another steaming turd of a performance we probably have lost to any other team in the league. But it is totally unacceptable to make Dundee look good. I think that's pretty much, Scotty, what you said to me, was it not?
Stop the myth. Stop the myth. Dundee did not look good. Dundee were horse turd. Yes, okay, if they were half good, then we would have gotten beaten. But they did absolutely bugger all to carve out any chances. Any chances that they did get were through Rangers' mistakes. We were so bad. We didn't press the ball. We let Dundee have the ball. Even their balls over the top, they weren't great balls. They were just aimless punts over the top that Goldson, for some reason, can't read.
Yeah.
Bit of pace in behind, and that's it. That isn't working positions. That isn't moving your opponent. That isn't controlling the game. And by the way, I'm really, really annoyed because for some reason we can have all the possession in the world and we can't control the game.
Yep.
How do you not know how to manipulate the ball or manipulate yourselves into the position, which is something we were fantastic at last season, and actually make the dangerous areas that we get ourselves into count? And that is a massive concern, particularly against Dundee. But absolutely, there is no divine right to say that just because you're only 1-0 down going into the 85th minute of the game, you deserve to get more out of the game than you did. Dundee did not. Dundee are terrible, and I wish people would stop peddling this myth just because the game's close at some point. Absolutely not.
Right, well, I'll tell you what, then we'll look at the start of the game, just before the goal, John, and I thought for the first kind of, all right, we had a wee bit of possession in there, but the start of the game, Dundee had the better chances. And if you look at it, Griffiths should have scored, or should I say that idiot? I'll call him that idiot because he is an idiot. Griffiths should have scored, and then I think the boy McGee had a free header in the 6-yard box, and that was all in the first 10 minutes.
Even the corner that doesn't come to Griffiths at the back post as well there was the alarm bells. It seemed like people were all over the place from that set piece. The Griffiths right foot volley, I don't know why. There's one player in that game. I don't care about everything else that goes aside for Griffiths. Let's just focus on him being a professional footballer. We'll use professional in quotations, right? Yeah. He's the only player in that team that concerns me. He's the only player that I'd be worried about if I was a defender. Yet twice inside the first 15 minutes, he's found unmarked on the edge of our box. And then a third time with a chance that he should do better with. I understand it's because we've not done any of our patterns properly, and Bassey is away up the pitch thinking we're getting out. We give away the ball. I couldn't believe when I seen him appear in shot on my screen, unmarked, on the right side of the box. I was like, fuck, who's watching him?
Yeah.
Who's going to be on him?
Do you know what's even worse? And what even makes it more of a calamity, and it almost reinforces my point, is if you're a professional football team, and you don't have the ball, you move to get back into your position. What the fuck is Griffiths even still doing there? He shouldn't even be there. It's not through an intelligent run or like hanging back. He's a lazy fat prick, and he's found himself there, but completely by accident. This is the level of team that we were playing against today.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I'm pissed off, and this is why it's a huge cause for concern. 3 points and up the road or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll kind of cover a few of the comments are obviously talking about the performance, and if we play like that against Prague, blah, blah, blah. But look, Europa League's a completely different kettle of fish. But just after that then, Scotty, our first kind of real kind of proper bit of passing play, the one, probably one and only thing, I don't know if that's fair or unfair, that Morelos does in the game, nice wee chip pass through to Aribo, lovely finish.
Oh, do I just continue being negative or something because I thought it was like a battle of the fatties because like I zoomed in on Griffiths and I thought, oh, he really is in bad shape. Like it's kind of like when I look in the mirror and I've come back from holiday and my t-shirt's too tight and I can see this bit around here. Oh, that's Griffiths. He's making me look like some kind of Greek god. And then we zoom in on Morelos and he's just as bad. And I'm thinking, oh, come on. And I know he's got a big frame and I know he's, that in stature. But it can't be a coincidence that we're seeing him quite sluggishly move around the pitch, not pressing defenders like he usually does. And I know also he's carrying a bit of weight. And he usually does, and he starts that way, and you see him getting a bit fitter towards the season because he always works hard. But I'm not really seeing it. But you're right. In terms of the goal and the pattern of the play, he peels away from the defender quite well. Really standard movement. And again, he's not picked up. And he plays a lovely pass. Aribo, great finish. And, we had probably one or two moments before that as well, typically involving Hadji, where the pattern of play was quite neat and tidy, but something didn't happen and a pass was blocked and invariably it broke down. But after that, it didn't really... Yeah, it was good to go 1-0 up. I was expecting to kick on. Great finish by Aribo. I really... Yeah, sorry.
It's so frustrating, John, to do a match reaction, but it's not as if you don't come on here and want to be negative and say, this is poor, that. After a win, you want to come on and be positive. But if we take the example of Aribo, and look, I'm no tactician, right? In fact, I know nothing. That's why I ask questions. But Aribo scores up, takes it, finish lovely, and then for me, that's the last we see him in the game.
Yeah. I thought when I seen the starting 11, and I thought this a couple of times, I know Hadji came on and was brilliant on Wednesday night. That would have been a game where I'd have played Hadji in the midfield three and put Aribo on the left side of a back free, a front three, pulling their back three just because of their left wing back. Their left wing back looked really dangerous. He knew he'd Hadji done for pace, so he knew he could bomb forward. I think you put Aribo in that position, he's got a different game. He probably drops deeper and deeper, and you probably let Tav and Aribo work them more than they worked us. And I also thought you would get more out of Hadji. I felt he looked a little lost on the wing today. I just think it was one of those games where he had a centre-half if he got away from the left wing back to deal with, and he had midfielders doubling up. There was no room for him. You need to try and get him in the middle of the park in a game like that. And I think Aribo takes a lot of touches, but see if you get him in the front three doing those touches, we win penalties, we create chances, we score goals. I would have rather seen him play in the front three and had Hadji playing in the midfield three and actually give us a ball going forward, because I just felt it was constantly going side to side and coming back. I didn't feel there was anyone taking it on the back foot and going forward. I think that's what Hadji's really good at. I would have preferred to see Hadji and Aribo in different positions, just switching each other.
Quite possibly. Actually, I think I might have found a reason why we didn't play that well today, and I think CGM's nailed it. Can we just blame it, guys, on that honking third strip?
It's becoming a fucking mental block for me. Anytime I see it, I just fear the worst.
Oh, it's just Malmo all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just see it and I fear and go, I don't like this. I don't like this. Yeah,
it's really not great. But
I like it.
You like it?
Though. I like it as a football top. I like it. As a watching Rangers playing it, I don't like it. But you can't win them both. But can I just go back on what John was saying there? Completely agree. We seem to have like this thing where like Hadji's obviously being primed for number 8, and he's been playing there towards the end of last season. At the start of this season, he's number 8. Obviously, he's had issues, injury, and then the COVID. So we're looking to get minutes back into his legs. And we've got this thing about when we're doing that with these midfield players, and we're seeing it with Bakuna, and I'm really scratching my head to like figure out why. We stick him in the front 3.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And these players, we're just nullifying them. So then what? We're nullifying them, going to destroy their confidence, and then stick them in their position, and then hope they regain their form or something. Absolutely not. I'm convinced that we could get 60 minutes out of Hadji or 60 minutes out of Bakuna, absolutely flat out from the start in these positions, and then we'll do an absolutely sterling job, and then take them off. There's no point in playing them for either 20 minutes at the end of the game or 60 minutes out of position because it does no one any favours. I'm scratching my head and I don't know the rationale behind that.
Well, a question for CGM then, John, just pretty much on what Scotty was saying. Surely Hadji and Aribo have the brains to interchange and adapt their roles.
And they did for the goal. That's exactly what they did do for the goal. But you're still setting up in a structure. Out of possession is more what I'm focused on rather than anything else. I think out of possession, if you put Aribo in that position, Mitchell doesn't go forward the same way he does. He doesn't leave Aribo. So in possession, that's fine. Our whole front six will rotate any which way they want to. If Morelos comes deep, one of the midfielders are going behind. That is what they'll do in possession. Out of possession is how you set up your structure to then go and press. I don't feel that we're doing any of the things that we were doing fantastically last season, which I thought about the pressing was a huge part of that. I know we're missing one guy who is pivotal to all of that, and Ryan Kent, but there are still players with the same attributes and pace of a Ryan Kent that can go do that same role. And I think if you put Hadji in there, you're dropping deeper and deeper because he knows he can't go and press at pace because it is, of all his attributes, it's the one thing he lacks, as he doesn't have ridiculous pace. And I think that's why I don't like him being in that. So out of possession, I don't like him being in there. I'd rather he was one of the midfield three and let Aribo deal with that and be able to press at pace and recover at pace when we're out of possession. In possession, they do rotate, and that's where the goal comes from.
I'm going to come back to you, John, in 2 seconds because I've got a wee comment here that I know that you're not going to particularly like. But just before I do, tonight on Patreon, I'm releasing the Soonest Revolution episode 8. For any of you who've been listening to that, that'll be released tonight at 8. Tomorrow we've got a new series starting over on Patreon, Life After Rangers. This is mainly about young boys that were there at the academy. Were told they weren't good enough and what happened to them after. Some of them maybe stay in football, some of them leave. Right, a question for you, John, and really need to find it. There we go, for Faldsey. Don't think Sakala is of any quality either. Nobody will tell me he's a great leap forward from Greg Stewart. Your response, please, as a man who has obviously seen fashion over a longer period of time than any of us.
He's class. He has real quality, but he's very, very raw. He is that. He's so raw. He had an Ostend side that totally played to his strengths. He played every week. He played 90 minutes every week. He got that run. He got that confidence after 6 months of being really poor for them. The manager stuck with him and played him. You're not going to get any player progress in this Rangers side playing 15, 20 minutes coming off the bench. It's just not going to happen. He should score the one that I think Bakuna plays into him. For some reason takes a touch. When he beats the guy in the right wing, I don't know why he's not putting that cross in because he had 2 players on. He takes the extra touch. Yes, he wins the corner, but he's got a crossing opportunity with 2v2 in the middle. He's very raw. I think the first half in the Motherwell probably represents more of the player that I've seen in play, where his actual dangers are. I think he will come good, but he's not going to come good playing 15, 20 minutes. The same way Itten didn't come good, the same way, as he mentioned, Greg Stewart, who I actually think is technically a nice footballer as well, didn't come good. Scott Wright is not going to progress if he's only in and out the team. We need to start bedding these players in. These Sakala comments can be the exact same thing I heard about Bassey last year, and I said the same thing then. Needs time. Needs a year to adapt to Gerrard's coaching, Gerrard's style, and you'll see a different player. And although he's still very much hit or miss, I think the Calvin Bassey that's playing for Gerrard now, there's a reason he's disposed Barisic out of that team, and it's because he has come on leaps and bounds, playing regularly. Sakala might not get that chance, but if he does, there'll be a reward for us in the end. But I would agree, from the 15, 20 minutes that he came on, he was pish. He was really, really poor.
But like you say, you can't really judge people when they're only getting 15, 20 minutes and not many starts.
And,
Scotty,
and obviously as well, Martin, just to say that, I'm speaking from a position where I watched them all last season, every game.
Yeah.
So I've got a totally different opinion. If I had been a Rangers fan who hadn't seen him play before, I would probably be of the exact same opinion as everyone else is.
No. Listen, I know. Listen, I loved Sibo right up until the end, so I'm never ever going to slag another player again. I could not see the bad performances that everybody else seen with Sibo. That's why I host and don't answer questions, Scotty. After the goal in the first half, I don't know what angered me more. The performance or the response after scoring a goal, because we just, if I'm being honest, we just went to shit. Nothing happened. There was no continuity. The passing went, just everything.
Yeah, it's I can't really add to that. What do you want me to say? I agree, and I can't really put my finger on what's going on, what's happening, why this is happening. All I can point fingers and say, "Oh, X isn't pulling his weight." We don't really seem up for it, energized. Maybe we're not having our pre-match coffee anymore. Who knows? Maybe there's a mentality. Kind of, you talk about entitlement and expectation, and because obviously we won the league at such a canter, and we dominated every single game, and we demonstrated our quality, and it feels like we're relying on that quality to win games, and not really giving the same energy to it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That said, drawing comparisons to what Liverpool did when they won the league, and they went through, this is our, what happened to Liverpool last season. Feels like we're going through that as well, where they spectacularly dropped off from the usual standards that they set. Fortunately, domestically, we can get away with it because we do have that quality, but luck will run out. I wouldn't say luck. I just think these things will just catch up with us in the end. It could do with being addressed pretty soon, but I can't put my finger on what's really going on.
Right, John, what's really going on?
I just feel like we're changing the team too often. I know a lot of that's been enforced through injuries. There was a COVID issue. But if you don't have a settled side, you just can't get that consistency. You cannot get everyone playing together. I know these guys train together, but everyone who's played any level of football knows it's a totally different game when you go out on a football pitch to play 11v11. And I feel like that is just that. We keep changing the side all the time. The back four seems to change every week, which is going to have an impact. Mm-hmm. So until we get that settled, and I don't think we are going to get that settled until we hit a real pattern of the Sunday, Thursday games, until that really hits probably by match day 3 and we see everyone fit. I don't think it's going to massively kick on until then. But we've normally started these seasons flying. There's like that game today was a game 2 years ago we'd have drawn 1-1, but it's also a game last year where we'd have won 3-0. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the difference where I see all the same cliches of football, is that's a champion's grinding out victory today. But as a victory, we would have won 3-0 last year. We would have put the game to bed. We would have came for a 20-minute spell like we did, score a goal, kick on, win 2 or 3-0, done and dusted. Everyone would have played well. We'd have been happy. But it seems to be that 20-minute spell that would have been in last season's game is becoming the 90-minute spell. And it's the only game I can remember last season where it was like that was the Hamilton 1-1 away game. It's the only game I can remember that feeling like, and it's felt like that for about 3 games this season in the league. And it is getting worrying.
Yeah, no, listen, it is a worry. But John, and maybe I'm clutching at straws here, should Goldson have had a penalty in the kind of round about the 40th minute, ball into the box? Looks as if the boy kind of jumped on his back. I know I'm scratching, but was it a penalty?
Maybe. It's one that just doesn't seem to get given. I know in the English Premier League they've talked about it and said that they will now give them if they see defender, and they gave one in the Brentford Wolves game last week and booked a guy because it was a very similar thing, but it just doesn't seem to be something that they'll give now, because I guess in England they've got the backup of VAR where they can just double check that it definitely was a penalty that he's seen. I think in Scotland, I don't think I've ever seen that. 9 times out of 10, if you see a ref warn somebody about holding, he's given a free kick the other way as soon as the corner's taken. So it's I think it is becoming almost impossible to get a penalty in those situations. But I did ask.
Sorry, John, I did ask in the group chat, and Scotty said ask somebody else, so I'm not even going to bother asking him. He was
as usual, I've got something to say. So, I actually thought as well, the second one, a couple of minutes later, when he volleys it straight into Morelos' nuts, I thought that one was more likely to be a penalty, Because I think he does actually, the defender actually pulls Goldson down and he turns to Bobby Madden, and Bobby Madden just did what he did all day. I was like, I don't know, I didn't see it. I thought Madden was bloody hopeless today.
So did I, but I've seen a few people. In fact, we'll just discuss that then, Scotty. Bobby Madden's performance. No arguments with the Dundee penalty at all. 100% penalty. We'll come back to that. But overall,
this is another thing, and without going into some kind of like tirade of going, oh, bias, he didn't send any of their players off, didn't book any of their players. McLaughlin potentially could have been sent off for that, because I don't actually see him going for the ball. And you got the rule of double jeopardy.
I think he goes for the ball.
Goalies are excluded from that rule, I think. I think it's just that. I think goalies get a buy on that they don't know how to play outfield football. They can't tackle. On you go. That was a goalie going for the ball, Scott.
But Bobby Madden's performance overall, Scotty, there was a few meaty challenges, especially later on in the game, coming from the Dundee players, and nothing.
Do you know, I wish sometimes I make notes, because I've got a memory of a sieve, and I've had one non-alcoholic beer, so I can't actually remember. But there was one in the first half, and it's a bit of well done. It's a bit of a late one, and what is it, McHugh or someone?
McGee on Bassey.
Yes, that one was at least a yellow card. Right.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I have absolutely no idea. He didn't even talk to him, because, right, okay, we have the benefit of slow motion. I mean, I can actually see in that tackle, he actually follows through to give something to Bassey, and it had a bit of dig. But the tackle was reckless and dangerous anyway. And Bobby Madden is looking right at it. Mm-hmm. And this is not new for Bobby Madden, because this is something he does, and I think it's his style. He lets things go, and he just doesn't even say anything. And he's got zero interest in. It's also almost like he doesn't like making potentially contentious decisions, because he thinks it will come back on him in some way, or he just lets these things fly, and it really gets on my nerves, because it does affect the game. Whether you think a referee's performance doesn't affect the game or not, it does. Because for a team like Dundee, if they think they've got the edge and they think they can leave things in and a bit of dig, and they start injuring players, it only benefits them. And this is what happens. It happens throughout the game. And I know what you're going to say, John. I know what you're going to say. Like the tackles on Morelos. Okay, yeah, fine. You can think it's like a half decent tackle. Morelos makes a meal of it. This is him, Morelos, trying to highlight what's going on throughout the game. All these tackles to Madden. And even in that instance at the centre of the park, he's gone, play on. I've seen it. Play on. Advantage. Yep. He doesn't go back and speak to the player, but he's clearly acknowledged that there's something going on in the middle of the park to warrant action. And I just can't get my head around it. I can't get my head around his style. And for me, when you're a Scottish Football Association official, there should be a uniform approach to refereeing. But there isn't, because you can see a clear style with Clancy, Colin, Don Robertson, Madden, Ross, oh, no, not Ross, whatever his name is. But you can see they've all got their unique style, and they all officiate differently. They all interpret the rules differently. That's no good. That doesn't help for any kind of product of the game.
It's why none of them are used in Europe. It's why Willie Collum, the only person that's in the semi-final in the last 5 years, was a riot and sent off 2 players that should never been booked, and Marseille fans are wanting to fucking kill him, and that's why UEFA have never backed him. Bobby Madden, the first day of the season, and I know it was funny at the time because it happened on a Celtic player. How did he try to break Callum Breger's ankle, and he done nothing about it? Yeah, and that was where the thing that bugged me at that point, because I was like, this is funny just now, but there's going to be a player in the SPL who flies into a tackle like that. I think, but if Bassey makes more a meal of that, the guy gets sent off. It's not even a booking. If Bassey goes down and makes a meal of it, Bassey doesn't do anything. Bassey just hops and plays on, which is what happened. Yeah. It's when you see the replay, it's over the top of his ankle and it's straight legged. Doesn't matter if you get the ball. That's been made clear now. That doesn't matter. That to me, it was more than a booking. But I do think that the SFA referees have got this stance of, if you can avoid making decisions, do it, because people will forget what you didn't. People will forget what you didn't give, but they won't forget what you do give, because it might actually impact the game. And I think that's I think that is a method of like, right, okay, if you can avoid sending people off, do it. If you can avoid giving penalties, do it. The less controversy that we have, because that is it. You can't analyse every foul and every card that wasn't given during the game. You can only give really the ones that are key and were given. That Bassey clip won't even be shown now, whereas if he'd sent him off, Sports Team would have been talking about it all day. The only people that are going to notice it are us.
Listen, sports scene and people who appear on sports scene only talk about what they want to talk about, let's be brutally honest. But let's be brutally honest, John. We're a Rangers podcast, but we will obviously talk in a negative light about certain players when they deserve it. Dundee got a penalty. I jokingly said it was McLaughlin's fault, but can you please explain to me what Connor Goldson's doing in the lead up to the penalty, please?
He must have had his phone on him or something. Something's happened. Before he comes into shot, Connor Goldson's doing something different except playing football. Because he watches that ball. Like from the minute he comes on screen, I'm going, what? Why has he only just started moving now? Like I've seen this Dundee player moving. It was, I don't want to go back, right? But there was the same one in the first half where it's coming over his right shoulder. He can get the touch. And he lets it bounce and tries to head it back to McLaughlin when Griffiths has stood right in front of McLaughlin. And it was like decision-making like that was evident all game. I was kind of semi-joking before we started. Now that Hollander's injured, Edmondson's away, Katic is out on loan, Simpson's not been up to it. Who's driving standards now in training for those two centre-halves to be head and shoulders above whoever else? Because it's, is it Leon King? Who's...
Leon King.
Leon King and Jack Simpson are the two sitting under them putting pressure. Whereas last season it was Helander, Katic, Edmondson before fucking him and Jones decided to go partying during COVID. The three of them were pushing for places. So everyone had to be perfect all the time. They have no competition for places now. I think the only thing that's keeping us together is that Balogun looks right up for a fight all the time. So he's driving on, but I just think Goldson maybe needs that fire under him. Somebody who's able to take his spot. Because right now Goldson is the epitome of an undroppable player because there's nobody fit and willing to take his spot at all. And it just reeks of that. It just reeks of somebody who's not getting challenged in training. It just seems too easy right now.
He got done for pace by Griffiths in the first half.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
I was hiding behind cushions.
And I've watched that with McMullen. I watched the Dundee derby last week, so I've watched McMullen. McMullen is quite a whippet, but it just seemed like Goldson was so slow to react to the fact that the ball was clearly beating him. Like it was clearly going over his head. The only thing he did right was not compounding his error by bringing him down. That was the only thing he done right.
Yeah,
was accepting that he was done and that if he pulled him down, he'd be sent off. And then we do have Simpson on the pitch. So the only thing he done right was basically letting the error go and just hoping for the best. And I know McLaughlin brings him down, but thankfully McLaughlin then does his job and kind of bails everyone out and bails the whole team out, to be honest. But yeah, Goldson, it just seemed like a concentration thing, and it seemed like it was there the whole game. Like it really did feel, it felt very not Motherwell-esque in the sense that for an hour against Motherwell is probably the best we've played going forward. But from the 30 minutes after that, it just felt like a continuation all the way through that game today, as if Livingston hadn't happened. So Connor Goldson needs a fucking rocket up his ass because he looks way too comfortable. Because I think.
Sorry, John.
Can you believe we won?
No, honestly,
I can't remember being this negative.
I know. If you tuned in, this would be like, oh, we've just been beat 1-0 off Dundee. But we've got a question for Curry Muncher, and I'll put it to the both of you. Scotty, I'll start with you. And then we'll try and get some positivity going, lads. Right, let's go. Serious question for the lads. Has Tav, Goldson and the rest of the players used their 55th title badge get out of jail card yet, Scotty?
I'm not a believer that they even had one. I think you save that for all the accolades. Well done, you won 55, right? Get on with it. You're on for the next one. If you want to leave Rangers after winning 55, that's the point. We'll again celebrate 55 with you at the end of your career. Well done. You can undo all the work that you did for 55 and all that goodwill. Yeah, but you don't have a get out of jail free card. You don't have a pass for being shit or not giving a shit or not giving 100% or any of that, because that doesn't exist. You will tarnish your reputation. you will tarnish your Rangers career. You will not get invited. One of the great perks of playing for Rangers is the fact that you do well, you do half decent, you are never forgotten. You reach hero status. You can reach hero status very, very quickly at Rangers, but you can also turn into a villain and turn into a laughing stock and a scapegoat. And we have seen title winners that happen to title winners. Many of that McLeish side, remember what year was it? 2005, 2006, or around that time, have become joke figures. And they, that wasn't that far off winning a treble prior. So they can lose that very, very quickly, and they need to be very much aware. And as I said, one of the privileges of Rangers, you will never be forgotten. You will always be looked after. You can do an after dinner circuit for the rest of your life, should you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
But you ain't going to be invited if you fuck this up and you start basically putting in performances like today. Just doesn't happen. And I'm also trying not to overreact, but I'm very much aware that I am.
John,
you guys know I've kind of been jovial and joking about a lot of this stuff, but I understand. So one of the problems, we went in the stadium last year, we won the title. The whole clamoring was going from 54 to 55 being the end of our journey. Once that title's lifted, we had the problem where Flag Day wasn't happening until last week. So we couldn't even just put to bed, like, start the season, flag's been raised, that's done, that title's over. You go outside Ibrox, mate, and it's still 55 banners being sold, 55 flags being sold, 55 scarves being sold. Rangers released the fucking official video, it's 55. People are now putting the number 56 on it. Just fucking stop. The title's done. That's it, done, completely done. Barry Ferguson said a brilliant thing. He went out and cited that title, and that was it, done. That weekend, the players went and celebrated. It felt like because this Flag Day was hanging over and because of how monumental it was, it's still getting mentioned all the time. People still talk about 55. We're doing it right now.
Yeah.
It was just a title. I understand the significance of us getting back to the top, but we're all Rangers fans that came for a successful era. It's just a title. Mm-hmm. These things are expected. I'm already looking forward to winning the League Cup in December. That's the next. That's it. That's the next one. Scottish Cup League. On to the next one. That's us. That's the standard expected. And I think we've put a lot of onus on it. Players are human. I know we say they shouldn't be, but you don't know. Players. I do think what Scotty touched on was right. Whatever happened at Liverpool last year, with that significant 30-year wait for a title, did feel like everyone had kind of semi-achieved their goal and had to reset. A lot of those players were brought in at Rangers to achieve one goal. They weren't back in to win 6 titles at Rangers. They were back in to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row. That was their remit. And I don't think anyone sat down and explained what the fucking goal was once we achieved that. I do feel like that. It was so much about stopping them that now we've had to now re-establish our goals and go, right, it's 2 in a row then. And go, right, okay, cool. But what does that look like? Because we're not stopping Celtic now. Teams are trying to stop us because we're the champions. And everyone that we've come up against seems to understand that you put 2 strikers against us now. Go man for man against our centre-halves, and we cannot play out the same way we did last year. And Gerrard said that he had a plan for it, and I've not seen it. I've not seen it.
No. Will we try and finish on a wee positive? Will we do that? Will we?
Yeah.
We try? Okay, let's do it. Cubby Cubster, Scotty. Positives, Martin. This week, top of the SPFL, Kamara signed a new deal. Hadji is back. All right, Josie wants him. And with a League Cup semi-final at Hampden. So as depressing as we maybe sounded for like the last 44 minutes, things aren't that bad, are they?
Things are magnificent. Like on paper, and football isn't played on paper, but on paper, right, we are top of the league. We've got group stage football. We're going to Hampden what feels like the first time in forever. We're winning games without playing well. There have been signs recently that the patterns of play on the pitch are returning. We're getting players back that we haven't had for a prolonged period. And John touched on it. We haven't had any continuity. We're now starting to get these players. Bakuna looks an absolute player, by the way.
He does.
In what he does. We get him firing. We can move up to a different level. Lundstrom looks like he can play football. Waiting for the same for Sakala. I'm going to trust John on that. Itten, Who's online? Scored
Yeah.
against Bayern Munich. Oh, come on. We just need to go a couple of games and win a couple of games 4-0, 5-0. Everyone can relax, and we can all move on. And we're playing in Prague on Thursday, which will be an absolute great game. And I always think that away from home in Europe, we have our best performances.
Positives, John.
Basically what was said in the comment. We are going to Hampden next month in November, for a League Cup semi-final. I would expect us to reach a final as well. And we are top of the table. We did actually win today, despite our tone and feedback on the game. But I hate to be this guy. Like, this is what being a Rangers fan used to be. People didn't sit and go, oh, well, at least the players won 8 in a row. No, it was going 1-9 in a row. It was never about that. It doesn't matter. You're literally only as good as your last result. So if we sound like we're being negative, there are standards to this. And whether I believe it or not, or whether I think it's likely, Celtic have to come good at some point. And we need to, whilst they've got injuries and the team hasn't settled, put as much distance between us and them as possible so that we can really have our run of dominating this league for a while, because they've had it too good for too long. And it's just a standards thing. I expect us to go and beat that Dundee side comfortably, better than we did today. But yeah, the only thing I was disappointed in, and we talked about this for Europe, the last thing I will say, see that game today, that was an opportunity, the way Mitchell was playing Tavernier, to try the Patterson Tavernier down one side at the end of the game to shut off the game in the last 15 minutes. That guy done Tavernier twice on the break, and they got into dangerous positions. And when we still had subs to make, I just kept thinking, Patterson, like that, this seemed ready for the type of thing we might try in Europe to see out games, to do it in a Dundee game, instead of bringing on another forward player and going like for like, just to see what that would look like to close out a game and give also Patterson again some much needed game time. Because I've seen comments about playing informed players, and I'm sorry, I watched the Livingston game. Tavernier, despite his performance today, is still head and shoulders above Nathan Patterson and will be for a year and a half to come. But it would have been nice to maybe see the two of them, just to see how that 4-1 might have looked. And I think you could have used Bakuna the way it was. I thought it was an opportunity, the way their left wing back was playing and bombing on, to just shut him out by bringing Patterson on and saying, right, Tavernier, you stay in and defend. Patterson, he's now your man, because their back threes are back free. None of them are capable of coming forward with the ball, and you make sure Mitchell doesn't get on the ball. I would have liked to see that.
Right, well, we've got a comment from Ian Moore, and we're going to finish up. Look, Gerard in his post-match said we should be excited about Bakuna. Everybody watching should be excited about the Rangers rabble, shouldn't they? Yeah, that was dreadful advertising. I apologise. We are, of course, live on YouTube. Please do subscribe. Our goal is 3K by Christmas, and if you keep going the way you're going, we'll have it before the end of September. Go for it. Fuck it, let's do it. So please do like and share and subscribe and retweet, and we've got plenty of content coming out on Patreon. I'll drag this out, Scotty, so you don't have to go and watch the rest of the Ryder Cup, mate, 'cause I know it's not going too well. We've got plenty of stuff coming out on Patreon. £2 a month to help support the rabble, to help make us a real voice in Rangers fan media. So
and get me a microphone.
And get Scotty a microphone. There you go. All that's left for me to say, Scotty, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
John, thank you very much.
See you later. Cheers.
How no, nice positive show, lads. Yes, it was indeed. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday with our usual weekly podcast where we will preview Europe. But until then,
hurry up.
Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.